And now let's move on to, you know, of all the people I know, I told you this already, but of all the people I know, you're like the most charismatic guy I know. Like, you know, you go to a stranger and you will have such a cool conversation with them. With a total stranger, you will know how to talk to them and how to build an interesting and cool conversation and leave some, some mark on that person. So, how do you build this confidence? How do you build this charisma? Did you always have it?
Well, thank you. First of all, I appreciate it. I really do. Every single, like you've said it to me before, but I still every single time I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Probably because I don't feel like I always had it. Certainly not the confidence. Definitely not the confidence. You've seen me before.
Yeah.
I was not always as confident. Now I can come across as cocky sometimes to some people. I don't like to think that I am, but I can understand why I can come across as such. I was not always this confident, right? Working out has been a huge player in me building confidence. And I'm pretty sure it is for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So for nothing else, working out, do it for that. After that, so here's the thing. You can't just expect to do things around your life and then that's going to affect how you talk to people or social interactions, right? You can't just, a lot of people, let's take the context of dating. A lot of people believe, oh, I'm going to get, they get into working out, I'm going to work out, the typical teenage answer, I'm going to work out, I'm going to get the girls, right? Not going to say it's not going to help because looking better does definitely help, right? But it's not going to get you to talk to the girl. You're still not going to talk to her. You're still going to be, scared and shy and whatever. You're still a human. You're not getting through that. So what do you do? Well, if only I had all these achievements, if I were top of the class, for example, some people start, nerding out or whatever, and then they may address you in teamwork exercises or whatever projects you have, but then how do you ask them to go grab coffee or something? How do you get to that point? You're scared. You can't do that. Some people go like, oh, I'm not going out or whatever, I'm going to focus on me, and that's a typical one, a classic one these days. It's, I'm going to focus on myself and make money, and then the girls are going to come to me. No, absolutely not. You're still going to be shy. And the only thing that's going to change is that you're going to have the money, and you won't know if the person is there for you or for your money. So
maybe you will have like some, but
well, you're going to have some
sugar.
For sure. Like I said, you're going to have some people the same way you're going to have some people more interested in you if you look better because you work out. But how the hell do you know if that's your credit? Like, it is your credit because you were the one who worked out or got the money, but how the hell do you know if you're actually better at social interaction?
Yeah, it's just maybe not like I will wait 5 years before talking.
Yeah, right? Which is a thing. I see it so much over TikTok these days, especially like there's this like epitome of
but I don't
and whatever, right?
But maybe they say like, I don't want to lose energy on that, like time on that. That's maybe.
I think it's important to build your character and whatever. And that's actually the way that I was going to transition into it is, while these things are not the key to it, I think the key to it is you being confident with yourself, right? It's very corny, I know. But you thinking that you're an interesting person and you being interested in others is going to make the whole difference. Because why the hell would anybody want to talk to you? Genuinely, like, why do people want to talk to you, right? And you think, well, I don't know. I don't want to talk to myself. I want to work out. I want to get better. Why would they want to talk to me? And then you work out and then you find out, well, they're interested in the knowledge that I have about working out. So that's one thing. And then you learn about, you get better grades, you get good at biology, I don't know. And then it's like, well, they're interested in knowing about that because they have an interesting take on things. And then the more interesting of a person you become, the more you build yourself, you realize, holy shit, I am an interesting person. I do have some things, but it's not just about you either, right? So you have to, you said, how do you make it so that I leave a lasting impression on people? Or not necessarily a lasting impression, but I make the people feel at home, or not at home, but like relaxed.
Yeah.
When I talk to people. And
like you break the ice very well.
Yeah, and that's, I believe, because I'm very genuine when in my interactions, but I'm an extremely curious individual. Always have been. I probably always will be. And I think curiosity is an amazing thing. And I think that first of all, it's been extremely disregarded. When you're a teenager or whatever, being curious or whatever, it's like a loser thing. Because why would you be interested in other stuff? I don't know. You can be. Teenagehood is such a hard place to be, man. Because You'll be interested in a video game and you're a loser because you play video games. You'll be interested in this and then you're going to be a loser because you want to read books. Like, it's so hard not to be classified as a loser or whatever, right? But it really does matter. Like, as soon as you grow out of it, you realize it really doesn't matter. But that curiosity has just always struck me, and that comes across when I talk to people. And I talk to people and I'll be like, the conversation that I had with my girlfriend actually recently is, we were having a barbecue with some friends and we were talking about the most, not mundane things actually, but I would ask the most mundane question, a cliche, typical question was like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And it's like such a cliche, boring question that it's like, why would you even ask that kind of thing? And she said, it's so weird to ask that. Like, she was telling me, I would never ask that question. It just feels fake and whatever. I was like, yeah, but I mean it. What do you do for a living? And then the answer is not like, oh, I work in accounting. And my answer is not like, oh, cool. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, shit, well, what do you do in accounting? And what's your daily life like?
You're genuinely curious.
Yeah, man, I want to know. What challenges do you face in your daily life? What makes you better as a person in your daily life? What can I learn? A lot of this is not just because I'm interested in the person and I'm a super nice guy. I'm selfish, man. I want to know. It's for myself. I want to know this information. It happens that it's good because people feel engaged or whatever, but I want to know this information, right? I'm going to talk to somebody who's into accounting. Well, great. How do you, I don't know, manage money? What do you do in your job? What exactly do you do for the firm? How do you make, because accountants, they're, you know, to some extent, like the heart of a firm, you know, they keep the blood pumping. So it's like, what do you do? What would happen if you were eliminated in your company, right? Would the people miss you? Well, I'm assuming not, because you get paid for a reason. So what is it that you do? What challenges do you come across? Why are you different than others? Why do people hire you instead of somebody else? What's special about you? And what can I learn from that? And so I'm interested in the person and what they do, not just the job. I'm interested in what makes the person different. So I think it boils down to make people feel special and feel interested in them, right? I genuinely feel interested in the person. So I think a large part of it is I get that across very quickly, right? So when I'm talking to someone, I think they see my eyes spark up quickly enough when it's like, they expect people to be bored if they say like, oh, let's take poor accountants. They're not boring, but let's just take them for an example.
It's not the most flashy job out there.
It's not the most glamorous one for sure, at least from what people say, right? But let's take accounting for example. Again, you know, like usually they'll be asked, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an accountant. They don't even bother going into more details because they know most people are going to stop at that. They don't know what the hell to ask about it, which is the other thing, by the way. How do you ask questions if you have no clue how to even begin to ask questions, right? So I'm an accountant. Okay, cool. Well, let's go with what kind of company do you work for? You must work for a company. Well, an accounting firm. Well, shit, now you kind of stuck, right? Because, okay, I don't know much about accounting. If you would have told me I'm an accounting from a pharmaceutical company, okay, maybe I know more about pharmaceutics. Oh, that's great. What does that have to do with everything, right? What questions can you ask about that? But regardless of what it is, you have to have a little bit of knowledge.
There's sincerity. You know, some people just
you
not
have to
sincere.
have 100% sincerity, right? So you have to 100% want to know what that person is talking about, and that I would say would probably be the key to it. So building confidence, build your knowledge base, but most importantly, be genuine, man. Be genuine and be curious. It's important, and it's gonna get you so much further if you're just curious and want to know about stuff.
So, you know, being genuine and curious, that's a big plus for charisma. That will help your charisma a lot.
It's actually, I think, the opposite. Like, if you try to be charismatic and just ask, you know, the things you think you should say, but not really mean it, it's not charismatic. But if you are genuinely speaking and say what you very want to know, that is charismatic, but you don't try to be charismatic. It's just the result.
You genuinely want to know, because that's what I noticed. You know, especially now that you say it, like that's what I noticed about you, because you ask like the most regular questions, the most cliche questions, but you actually ask them for real. You don't fake it.
Yeah.
And so the way like your words come out, your tone comes out, and your non-verbal comes out. You know, yeah, exactly. People sense it, and they will give an answer. However, I will say that it also, but you know, that's another thing. Like when you're very good at engaging with people, even the other person becomes better in the conversation. Because you know, like sometimes, you know, a conversation, you know, it's two people, right? It takes two to tango. So if you are like an okay speaker and you talk to somebody who's very shy, that conversation went quick. Like for example, again with the poor accountants, you say, "Oh, you're an accountant. Oh, cool. Where do you work?" An accountant firm. Oh, okay. You know, like sometimes it fades out like this, but you know, a guy like you, even like with those poor answers, you can still like work with that.
Yeah, because I want to know. I'm not asking it because I want you to feel included. Sure, maybe that's a part of it, but I'm asking it because I want to know. You're not giving me an answer. I don't care. I'm gonna get an answer out of you. You know, so eventually I'm figuring something out, and eventually you're gonna spill something that's gonna be interesting. You can't be that boring of a person that nothing about you interests me.
Yeah.
I can't fathom a person who would be that boring. Unless that actually I can fathom a person that can be that boring. But even so, not nothing, but a lot of people live in the life of others. All their thoughts, everything about them, they try to be someone that they're not. And those people are the ones that I find most boring because everything about them is
It's fake.
It's fake and it's not theirs, and they might believe that it's them, but it's just not. It's like, well, I heard that. That's I don't know, whatever. That's your idol. That's your favorite singer. That's how they behave. Sure, you're just repeating their words, kind of. You're making it your own, but that's not you. So what makes you you? And then some people don't know. Then it gets interesting because the person doesn't know who they are, or whatever. But it's a lot harder, right? So if they don't know who they are, how the hell are you gonna figure it out? How the hell are you gonna figure out who you're addressing and what you can learn from them if they don't know themselves? But at least interesting conversations.
But I think
That's
these
true.
people are just subconscious, meaning that they're autopilot. They're just not here,
Yeah,
and so they say things automatic.
yeah.
So it's not that they are not themselves. It's just that they are not here.
They don't.
But
But it's
they
because
are
they don't know who
concerned.
they are.
But they're concerned with others, so they don't like.
Yeah, but they don't make a conscious effort to change that either, because it works.
Yeah, because they are not here.
because nobody
He-
is as curious as me most of the time to dig into the person as deep, right? So the superficial answers, they probably work for most people. So they never felt the need to develop a deeper personality or sense of purpose or identity, which is probably what got them this far, but it's where they fade out with me and where I just don't know where to go from there on the conversation.
Yeah,
But that rarely happens.
yeah.
And so yeah, that's for like charisma and
Yeah.
for the reverb was kind of loud. And so for confidence, like let's say the typical answer for guys, the typical question from guys, how do you get the confidence to go talk to the girl? But this goes beyond just talking to women. For sales, how to approach
Yeah.
potential clients and stuff like that. What's your trick into having the courage and the confidence to go and engage in the conversation?
I'll try to boil it down into a few things because I can't think of an exact answer to it. First of all, like I said, you have to believe that you are good.
Can you get closer a bit to the mic?
I'm sorry. You
No,
have
it's
to believe
okay.
that you yourself are good. You have to believe that you yourself are important, and what you have to say matters. That can either be built through faking it, which I'm a huge believer in it, right? So I haven't always been am I close enough?
Very good.
Okay. So I'm a huge believer in fake it till you make it. So there was a point where I was feeling the least confident is the point where I behaved as the most arrogant guy. And that eventually got annoying to my family or like parents or whatever. And they were like, how are you so cocky and whatever? And when they first said that, I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, me? Cocky? I don't have an ounce of confidence. How the hell do they perceive me? But then you realize they don't freaking know anything else than what you put out. So even if you don't know anything, if you behave like a confident person, if you put on this mask, eventually you kind of become that person, right? So that was one way to do it. But I would say probably healthier than that is also just nailing down what you have to say, right? Learn about it. Be good at what you do. Like I said, you don't want to be the superficial person who doesn't know anything and just repeats stuff that they feel is how things are being said instead of actually putting in their genuine knowledge, work, and everything. But for the sake of like how do you approach people and whatever, how do you actually get something done, you gotta do it, man. You just have to get to it. But I will give a tip. The secret to it is building tolerance, like most things actually. Tolerance to awkwardness, tolerance to all these things. How do you do that? Well, you have to get social interactions, you have to talk to people. Where do you start? And that's where my tip comes in, and I will say, just give compliments. That's the way I actually started, and I found that it's really useful. Give random ass compliments. It's gonna be awkward as hell at first too. And some of them will just always be awkward, and there's no matter how you spin it, it's if somebody looks from a third perspective, it might just seem awkward or creepy or whatever, right? But who cares? It's a compliment. There's no ill intent. There's nothing mean about it. Also, if you're talking for the sake of dating, I don't mean it in that sense. I mean, give a compliment, even if see every person the exact same and give compliments the exact same, right? Not the same compliment, right? I mean, like, give compliments in the same way where it's the cashier that's an old 90-year-old woman that you want to have nothing to do with, just like you were to give a compliment to the stunning girl that always jogs in front of your house that you've always wanted to grow the balls to talk to, but you never could, right?
Yeah.
Have the same approach of giving a compliment. Build that tolerance, and eventually it won't matter who you're talking to. You're able to at least give a compliment. That's the least thing you can do. And nobody's gonna react wrong to a compliment. Who the hell's gonna see and also don't give creepy compliments as best you can, right? So give as not mundane, try to go for something unique that the person you see they put effort into. So if you see somebody running every day in front of your house, it's like, wow, you freaking you're fast. You look like, I see you running every day, like you're good at this. I don't know, like compliment that, for example. There's nothing innately attractive in the sense of like there's no flirting going on with that. It's a mundane compliment. Like, oh, those are some sick shoes. If they're a runner, they're gonna care about their shoes probably. They might not care about their hair as much or whatever, or they do. You don't know that, but they're running, so they must care to some extent about their shoes. If you see somebody, physical appearance is obviously the easiest, right? So if they see somebody doing their hair done a certain way that's like out of normal or whatever, compliment the hair. Wow, I like the way your hair is done. Not like, yo, your hair is super hot. No, just, hey, that's a cool way to do your hair. That's a nice attention that you put in. And the people's gonna go, wow, thank you. That means a lot. Like I put effort and it's been recognized. Go with compliments, man. Do that. Expect nothing in return. Build some tolerance, and that's gonna go a long, long way. I think, and it's worked for me, and I'm pretty sure I've told it to a few people, and it turned out pretty decently. So I think it's a good way to start.
Yeah, definitely. I remember you told me that like last summer.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about that, and it makes sense because, again, like you said, there's not like ill intent behind it, so you have nothing to lose. That's another thing I think. Like, there's nothing there's nothing to lose. So
you never had anything in the first place.
Exactly.
You're not losing anything. But that's the other thing, though. You can't have intentions behind that compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
Genuinely mean it as just a pure compliment. In fact, make it a statement in your head that no matter how positively she answers, all you're gonna do afterwards is you're gonna leave with that compliment sent. Even if she says like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Take my number," whatever. No, keep it a compliment. Whatever. Go with that mindset, because if you build that scenario in your head, then you have something to lose, which is that fake scenario that never even happened in the first place.
Yeah.
So tell yourself that no matter what happens, you're gonna leave, and then if it actually does happen, behave how you want with that, but just go with the intention of compliment and nothing else.
That's great, and you get your reps in, and you get
you get your reps, you get your set, you get your volume throughout the week, and then eventually you get hypertrophy.
Yeah, because if like you said, if it's awkward and the person reacts weirdly, you will be accustomed to it eventually.
Yeah, you're gonna be accustomed, and then it's like they're the weirdo for reacting poorly to a compliment.
Yeah.
Who does that? Also, that's the other thing. If you do it to like 100 people, you're gonna notice that most people should react well. So if you do it to somebody that you actually care about or whatever, and you want to start a conversation, and they react poorly, well, you're not the weird one, because 99 other people have reacted well, so they're the weird ones.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to be associated with that person anyway.
That's another good way to see it.
Yeah, man. The more you have experience talking to people, the more you realize most people, they're nice. Most people, they want to talk to you if you are being genuine and interested in whatever I said before, right? Most people, they don't want to be a dick to you. Why would they? It just complicates your life. It's not fun to be a dick all the time. It's not something that's fun or easy. It's probably a lot easier to be kind, just to have regular conversations and mean well. So why wouldn't a person do it?
Yeah,